Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. I'm in standard right now. I'm going to change to G tuning, but I want to do it with you guys, so we can all do it together. What is up? Let's see. All right, I've got to print something. Sometimes, and it doesn't happen as often as it should. It's funny because I'll do work with some major artists and they'll never make me sign any paperwork. Never make me sign a non-disclosure. It's funny, but I've had some of the smallest artists. Hey, Darren, how's it going? Good morning. Good morning, y'all. Where are you, Darren? I forget. I apologize for not knowing. I mean, by saying good, it looks. I think you say good morning. I think Australia. Props to you if you are watching from Australia. I've got got some stuff I got to sign and scan. Well, that's a pain in the butt, isn't it? Signing and scanning stuff. And then what's, standard operating procedure, if it's a 17-page document and you only have to sign the last page, you don't need to scan all 17 pages. Can you just send them the last one? But then they want, oh no, we want all the pages, with your signature at the bottom in the same PDF. Oh, Seattle, okay. Yeah, I love Seattle. I've been there once. It was in 1997, so it was quite a while ago. Before all the Californians got there and ruined it. Sorry about that. I'm technically not a Californian, so I was born in Indiana. I was born in South Bend, outside of Notre Dame, right across the street from St. Mary's. And same year I went to Portland. I was teaching clinics for Maranatha, so I was there for kind of a long weekend, and it was freaking gorgeous. So I'm in standard tuning right now. We're going to drop down to drop D, which you can see there in the top corner, upper left-hand corner. Open G tuning. Standard tuning is, of course, E, A, D, G, B, E. Eat at Denny's, get bad eggs. Sorry, Denny's. And then I'm playing a 70 or 71 SG that I bought like this. I get people saying, "Oh man, you ruined that guitar. Why'd you take the tremolo off?" I'm like, I didn't do anything to this guitar. I don't even know if I've changed the strings yet since I bought it. Nothing original on here. The tuners are not original. Well, you know what? These Grovers might be original. Yeah, there's no other holes back here, so I don't know. I'm not a guitar aficionado, so it has antiquity pickups here, according to the guy that sold it to me. Antiquities are Seymour Duncan Antiquities. This is not original because originally it had a Bigsby on it, and somebody took the Bigsby off. The color's not original because the only color these ever came in was the natural mahogany. So the mahogany's under here somewhere. Part of me thinks it was probably stolen, and then they just got paranoid and changed everything. There's even, there were some of these that had stereo jacks. So you have one pickup would go to one jack and another pickup would go to the other. I'm not sure what the thinking was there. I'm not sure if you could sum them to be, so it would just go to one chord so you could choose. I don't know. But, the thinking was you could put this pickup to one amp and this pickup to the other amp maybe. I don't know. And so this pickguard has that hole in it, but there's no hole, there's nothing there. It's solid wood. So clearly this guitar wasn't one of those stereo SGs. So, I thought I did update the less number. Is it not 114? I just did that. Let me look. I've got them all right here. Videos. Ba-dum-bum-bum. No, it's good. Yeah, we're good. 114. I did change it. Let's see. I'm sorry. There was a great question. Yes, Andrew. I'll give you the playlist right here. I've got it right here. Okay. Playlist. Click. Enter the word business. And Andrew, if you find them helpful, I mean, these are seriously some. I'm very contrarian, and what I mean by that is that I will tell you stuff that you will not hear in music school. Like, for example, you don't need to go to music school, stuff like that. I will tell you other things like, even in this internet age, you still may have to move to a big city. I lived in Indianapolis, and at the time I lived in Indianapolis, there was really only enough work for one guitar player, enough session work for one guitar player. I'm trying to remember his name. We're Facebook friends. And he lives in Nashville now. I think he maybe made, and I don't even know how much he made, but maybe made, $50,000 a year would be a generous, and that would have been in the late 70s. That would have been probably way high. It was probably more like 20,000 a year. There were Guitar Player magazine, which I subscribed to through much of the late 70s, early 80s, had put on their cover many session guitar players like Lee Ritenour, Larry Carlton, Tommy Tedesco, and eventually Steve Lukather, all within just a 2-year window. Hey, Andrew Girard, have you played That's about all I can play before I get flagged. So Andrew, there's a bunch of stuff up there, and so one of them is like move to a big city. Another one is, I talk. So I have titles for. In fact, Andrew, I'm gonna see if I can find this book. There's a book that David Sivers wrote. It's free. I mean, he has it up on his website, so you can just read page by page. Is it David? No, not Sivers. What's the name of that book? Dang it! I just sent it to my friend. I've got the PDF, but I'd rather send you his website. So he's the founder. He created CD Baby, and then he sold it, and he's written this book that's very, very easy to read. It's about 120 pages. And it's, where is it? Here we go. Sivers, Your Music and People is what it's called. I'm gonna post a link right here because I think it's particularly good if you have a band or you're releasing product, you're releasing records, that aspect of the music business. My part of the music business is more working with other people, collaborating. So Your Music and People. Hold on. I had a search window here. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. Your Music and People. So stay with me for a second here. And anyone, buy now directly from me. I literally think you can click on these. I I think you can click on these. It's a great little. It's the smallest URL I think I've ever seen. So, if you have a band or you have music that you're selling, oh, I touched my face. That's one of our drinking game rules. If I touch my face, we all have to take a sip. Okay. All right. So. Yeah, so there's the music business thing. It says, oh, it still says, oh, weird. Okay, well, I changed it. On my side, it says 114. So that probably won't take until we get to, when it gets to, when it up, when I hit end stream or something. Let's see, I exited and came back. It still said, weird. All right, let me try it again. Oh, you're right. It still says weird. Okay, save. Huh. See, it's weird because it says it up here, but not down there. Okay. All right. Yeah. Bruce Andrew's a very, very good friend of mine. In fact, he just sent me a very sad but true video about life in California. Yeah, exactly. That's why you don't play me. Yeah. I met Ingvi like the week he moved to America. I met him. It's funny. It was maybe I'll tell that story later. Yeah, Andrew, God be with you on your pursuit to make music a career. It's definitely not easy. Andrew Gerard, you should read that book too. I think actually I should have sent it to you. I have the PDF. I can, if I can figure out a way to, I think I can send it to you via. What's the app that you use? WhatsApp, yeah. But you can click on it there, and the PDF's making the rounds. I think his intent is to give it away. Yeah, WhatsApp. Thanks. It's the. Sorry, I'm not getting the slide. I'm going to get grief for not having a slide. Also, I apologize for the billions of ads that YouTube put on that last video. I mean, even more than normal. It was like every 3 minutes. For 50 minutes, there was a commercial. I'm like, I got someone saying something about it, and I'm like, yeah, that just... Yeah, the weird thing is it says here 5 concurrent viewers, which I know is not true, but that's kind of weird. So we'll get to the slide Open G stuff in a second here. One of the first points that David makes in this book is, and like I said, it's a super easy read. I mean, each paragraph is generally 1 or 2 sentences. Each page has a few sentences on it. It's not like an intense read, but one of the big points he makes, I think, and I haven't finished it myself because it's not particularly relevant to me because I'm not trying to sell music. Oh, there we go. It just fixed itself. The particularly relevant part of it, not for me so much, but for people it's particularly relevant for people that are trying to market music. And so, Andrew, you and some of your friends would fall in this camp. But he gave the example. The point was that, and again, I think it's like this overarching theme, but I could be wrong. That you put a lot of creativity into writing the song or writing the music, into recording the music, to singing it, to playing all the parts, to creating all the keyboards and the sounds and maybe patches and mixing it and mastering it and artwork and all that stuff. Why do you stop being creative when it's time to market the record? And he gave the example, and I may have mentioned this before, but he gave the example of an artist who did songs that were kind of tongue-in-cheek about Area 51 and alien invasions and things like that. Like he was a total conspiracy. His character was a conspiracy nut. So all the songs were about conspiracy theories. And he came to, I think he came to David and said, "Hey, I want to market my record." And he goes, "I really like your music." I forget how they came together. And what they did was David had worked in some of the major labels and also knew that independent artists were always trying to get radio play on college stations. That's like a great place to start. And there's 500 college stations in the U.S. And typically they'll get 20 submissions a day each. 20 bands will send their manila envelope with their CD in it and a cover letter. So what they decided to do was to create, instead of having a manila envelope, they got a black envelope with big red letters that said, under no circumstances should you open this envelope. First thing. And then on the inside, what they did was they wrote a letter and it said, hi, my name is so-and-so and I live in the bushes outside your office window. And this artist, I just want to let you know that this artist saved my life and told, confirmed everything I believed about all these conspiracies and all this stuff. And it goes on to this big rant, and it says signed, Joe, the guy that lives in the bushes outside your office window. And then they took it and put the paper in the dirt and then crumpled it up and got all dirty and then put it in the black envelope and mailed it off with a CD. And the average is 0 plays on radio when you do, when a band sends a record to a college radio station, we get 0 plays. Because you can tell from BMI royalties or ASCAP royalties who's playing your music, sometimes, actually on radio, not so much. But they got spun on 375 of the 500 stations. I mean, that's just freaking brilliant. So that's the kind of thing they're talking about. So, does the Open G chart? Yes, 100%. And let's get to that now. Sorry, I got sidetracked, and that's, me. So, starting now. Yeah, who was it that used to always say, would put on my videos, lesson starts at minute 15 or 17 or 19? Who was doing that? Was that Catherine? Catherine may have been doing that. I can't remember. But okay, so I'm in standard right now. So what we're going to do, I got my super tight. It's called super tight. I'm not sure why. My super tight, and this is the Snark tuner, which I've actually really come to like. And the super tight actually, it's cool. It's matte black, so it's Batman approved, and it's also got a metronome in it, which is dope. A tap tempo metronome, so you can use it to help keep track of time. It doesn't. I don't think it makes a noise. I have not heard any sound coming from it. It just will blip like a little light. Okay, so I'm going to take the E string down a whole step. I'm going to loosen it. So I'm going to turn it from looking down on the peg, on the tuning peg. I'm going to turn it clockwise. Okay. Now, if you have a whammy bar or a tremolo arm, you're probably in this guitar used to somebody. And I didn't pay anywhere. If this was original, if everything was original on this, it probably would have been $4,000 or $5,000 maybe. I believe I paid $800 for this, and I bought it because I picked it up and I started playing through an amp. It's just I thought it sounded great. So it just had a really nice woody sound to it. And the great thing about SGs, they're a lot thinner than Les Paul, or considerably thinner than Les Pauls. So they have a kind of a woodier sound. I don't know, just a kind of a brighter sound than a typical Les Paul. So, and they're a little lighter, and the great mobility up here. The only thing is they're neck heavy. So when you're playing live, it's kind of like wants to go this way. But okay, so I'm down to D. If you don't have a tremolo, if you're playing a Gibson, you might be able to. Now I'm going the next string down to G. So normally the A, it would be A. We're going down to G, and I can my D, my bottom string is already. And we're not even going to really use the bottom string. Keith Richards would just take it off. I did have the Blue Dan Electro back there strung that way for years. And I was going to use that guitar for this video or for this live stream, but the strings are old, and I took the slide and went like this, and it was like, I was like, oh, maybe I'll pick it up later and do it. You guys can hear it. It was worse than nails on a chalkboard, to be honest. It was pretty bad. So, hey, Gary's on. Oh my gosh, Gary, I'm so glad to see you. I don't know if you watched Mondays, but I was lamenting the fact that my time change kind of knocked you out of the out of the game. Okay, so now even with a fixed bridge, most Gibsons are, you're still probably going to have the neck kind of relief a little bit. So you're going to have to tune every string. It's not going to be a matter of just tuning down 3 strings. So now I'm going to take this high E string, and on my Gibson it's down here, and I'm going to turn it down to D. So just work your way through the strings and spell out that D, G, D, G, B, D. Okay, so Darren, yes. So Darren, hey Ignatius. I know. Thanks, Darren. Thank you. You come for the chit chat and stay for the lesson. Yeah, I know. I don't know how I do it. I think I could literally do a 3-hour radio program. I could talk about myself for 3 hours, no problem. Enough about me. What do you think about me? One of my favorite lines, Bette Midler lines. That was from Ruthless People, was it maybe? No. I forget what, it was a same era, like 80s. Ruthless People's a pretty funny movie, though. Steve Martin's hilarious in that movie. No, he's not in that. Steve Martin's not in that. That's Danny DeVito. Ruthless People's Danny DeVito. What's the one with Steve Martin? Dang it. Okay, so I'm pretty much in open G tuning now. Okay, so what we're dealing with here on these notes, again, are D, G, D, G, B, D. The number one thing you really want to try to learn are all the new notes on your A string. This is no longer the A string, it's a G string, so you're going to need to learn these notes. But if you learn that, whatever note that is, that's what major chord this is. So this would be an A chord, this would be a B chord, this would be a C chord, D chord, okay, E chord, F, and G. If you just memorize the non-sharp, non-flats, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, if you just memorize those, you should be able to find the other ones. So if you know this is E, and you know what E flat is in relation to E, that E flat is 1 fret below E, that is E flat. And then if you want to do some Keith Richards stuff, you hammer on. You look at my chart now. This is the key thing. So what you're seeing here, and again, I'm not really playing the bottom strings. So I'm thinking the top 5 strings. You have a root, a fifth, a root, a third, and a fifth. We only have 1/3 on that whole chart. Okay, so if I want to do a sus4, this is a C, this is a B flat chord, C chord, and if I want to also add the 6 at the same time, that's the Keith Richards thing. Hey, Jay Baker's back in the house. Yeah. Oh, you're still in it. Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah. So just fine tune it. Okay. So what I wanted to do today, so this chart, basically what it shows you is that if you're on, we were jamming on a D chord. Yeah, let's see. I may go with a little bit more gainier sound. Let's see. Wow, that's really gainy. Maybe a little gainy, too gainy. Let's see. I could probably pull this. Oh, I see what I did. Yeah. The reason is because I'm going to do some. Although I think Sonny Landreth doesn't really do a lot of gain. He does a lot of compression. I hear a lot of compression in his playing, and not so much gain. Hey, Pepper's in the house too. Oh my gosh. It's for the regulars. Oh yeah. Oh, you put a graphite nut on your Ibanez. Yeah, I don't know about that. Graphite tends to grab, so if it goes, I don't know. We'll see. Because when you bend a string, it's kind of like going to move across the nut. Oh wait, graphite will make it move easier across, won't it? It won't grab. That's the reason you use graphite. That's right. I do have some. It's called. Was it called nut juice or something like that? And I would use it on my Les Paul and my 335. And I would just put it on the G string here, and what it would do is allow the string to go smoother, and it was like liquid graphite. So yeah, you're right, graphite would work better. Yes, Pepper sent me some of her homework, and that was like, yeah. I mean, I don't know if not Andrew Gerard, but the other Andrew that was asked about the music business questions. One of the things I talk about is I perpetually consider myself in college, but then I'm starting to rethink that after seeing Pepper's assignments, because I'm like, yeah, because I'm always trying to learn new stuff, and I'm always saying, never stop learning as a musician, and keep yourself in college. Should I go to college? The temptation is you go to college for 4 years and you think you've learned everything, but it's never true. So. Yeah, that's too gainy. Let me see. Maybe this one is better. A little more brightness. Okay, so let me just get my windows organized here. Okay, so the cool thing about this chart is when you're playing a D chord right here, and we're playing in blues context, which is generally when we're going to use slide. The scale, one of the scales you might use over a D, the D chord's probably going to be a D7. So that would be D, F sharp, A, and C. Okay. And the scale that would go with that would be a D mixolydian scale. A D major scale would have a C sharp in it. That's why it sounded weird when I got to that 7th note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's major. But we don't want a C sharp because a C sharp would conflict with the flat 7 that's in a D7 chord. So you want a C natural, so you ultimately end up with a D mixolydian scale. We talked about modes. Probably did 10 lessons on it in this lesson series. If you go to my channel, click on videos, and then I think there's a separate tab for live streams or enter live stream. I don't know. I hope it. Oh, you know what? I may need to put these in playlists too. I probably have put a lot of these videos in playlists. Yeah, when Pepper says she has 60 pages to read, it's not just like you're reading like The Hobbit or something. It's like jargonese. It's brutal. Half of that stuff is just made up to sound like it means something. It's called job security. And every profession has it. So, I mean, you could literally practice that scale on a D string if you want. I'm using my index finger to pluck. And I'm trying to keep my fingers behind the slide. I'm going to use the slide on my pinky. A lot of players use the third finger. It's fine. Either's fine. Although, I'm going to show you a couple tricks, and I feel like it's easier with the slide on the pinky. But Derek Trucks and Dwayne Allman both use the slide on the ring finger. So I wouldn't put it on right now because this is, I don't want to, it might not come off. It might create an air pocket. So, okay. So the cool thing is, in the context of D mixolydian, or any mixolydian, because this, Darren asked, does this chart work anywhere? Yes. Okay. You see the R right there in the middle on the 5th string, and there's another R here on the 3rd string. So if you want to learn the notes on the 3rd string, that's totally fine. In fact, that almost would be more valuable because that string you're going to need to learn that in standard tuning anyway. But in my head, generally, when I'm playing slide, I'm thinking about the 5th string. So that's G, that's B flat, that's C, there's D, F and G. So I'm thinking about the A string more than I am thinking about the G string. Okay, but the cool thing is, so this thing, which is totally movable, this chart, which is totally movable, because it has numbers. If I put letters there, it wouldn't have been. If I put D, A, D, F sharp, D, A, or whatever, it would not have been. Does touching my ear count as touching my face? I think we need a sip, so let's take a sip. That's hilarious, Gary. I just saw you went back to tech college at 45 with a mortgage and 2 kids for a year, and they hired me. Yeah, I I had one meeting at USC, University of Southern California, and with the dean of the music department. I had one meeting with him, and he offered me a job creating a master's degree program. I told that story. It's like, are you kidding me? I tried to talk him out of it, and actually ended up not happening, which was a good thing. But I wasn't there to do that, you know. Okay, but the cool thing is, it doesn't. All the notes that you can go down to or up to, and we've always talked about this, are all 2 frets away. With the only exception is the 3 to the 4 movement on the 2nd string. So the cool thing is when you're playing slide on the D. Until I did that, that's really David Lindley sounding to me from that played with Jackson Browne, right? But everything is a whole step down or above except that one. Okay, so you got this. I love that. That's just actually using the frets on the top string. That's not slide. That's a fret. So okay, now my nose is just it itches on the outside, on the inside, but I'm going to scratch it this way to avoid the meme. I don't want to become a GIF or a GIF, however you're supposed to say it. The creator of the GIF says it's GIF, but everybody says GIF. Pepper, you were typing. Yeah, Pepper's typing papers with her middle finger only because of that. Yeah, it is jargonese. I swear to God, it's job security. They don't know what they're saying. And if you just write a paper with a bunch of made up jargonese, they'll give you an A. So, yeah, and I think that's why I own stock in Starbucks, and I've done very well. I think, get this, I think Kenny G was one of the original investors in Starbucks. He was a Seattle icon, and I think he invested originally, and I think his investment at one point, I think he sold out at $400 million or something like that. Kenny G. Okay, so I'm going to show you some of my favorite licks in Open G. Before we were doing, dang it, touching the eye has got to be a double sip. And obviously, I was out in public earlier today. Okay. So we did some basic things where I had to do some of that kind of stuff. But we're gonna do. So I like this lick a lot. I think I talked about this on Monday, but I'm gonna try to. So I'm gonna start on top string at the 7th fret. And that's an A. It wouldn't normally be an A, but because we're tuned down. See, if I normally, in standard tuning, played this note, it would be a B, but we're tuned down a whole step, so a whole step below B is A. Don't worry. Hold on, I got to get my mug out here. So on that little factoid, there won't be a quiz. Okay. But what happens is when we take this 5 down to the 4, okay, the 4, as we noted here, 3 and 4 are a half step apart. So if I were to play it like this, these two together like this, it creates that cool like flutter, right? Because your notes are a half step apart. If I bend this note, if I bend the second string up a fret, I can get rid of the flutter, but then I lose the F sharp, and it goes. Both notes are G's. Okay, so what's cool, and that's going to come into play again. We're going to go up to G and have some fun too. But basically, what I'm doing is I'm going 5 down to 4, and then 2 to 3, like that. So the 2 is here on the second string. Okay. Now, basically, what I'm doing though is I'm using the 7th fret as a grace note to the 5th fret. Right? I'm just doing that. So we're just there for a second. We're down there, and then the same thing. I'm using the 2 as a grace note to get to the 3. By grace note, I mean you're just on it for a second. It's a starting point, but you immediately go to the goal, the note that you want to go to, the goal tone, G-O-A-L, like goal. There's a GIF. So I'm going 5 quickly to 4, and then 3 quickly to 2. 2 quickly to 3. Okay, you can try that with your first finger. Now the hard part is muting with the right hand, because you don't want these notes necessarily to ring out. You don't want to hear. It gets a little muddy. Okay. Yeah. Right now, this shape is at the 7th fret. The middle where where the black. I'm sorry, you can't see me pointing. Right here, right there. That bar is where your slide is. Okay, and wherever this is, this will all be true wherever you move this. But right now we're at the 7th fret, which is the D chord. Okay, so I'm on the 5 right here on the top, sliding down to the 4, and then 2 to 3. That's like the most common open G lick on slide, but it's common because it's so bitchin'. And then you want to eventually end on the root. You can do it 1 time or 2 times or 3 times, but eventually you're going to want to end on the R on the 3rd string, right there. And I'm getting that with my thumb. So I'm getting the top string with my 2nd finger. I'm getting the 2nd string with my 1st finger, and then ultimately I'll get the. Okay, so in slow motion, this is this. It's hard to do it slow because it's a grace note, remember. Now, you want to look at this hand, and you should, but look at this hand, okay? Let me see if I can shed a little more light on this. Almost looks like my fingers are walking, right? Let your pages do the walking through the yellow fingers. That's the punchline of a really stupid joke. You don't have to worry about tremolo because you're not on these notes long enough to institute a tremolo until you get to the root note. Okay. Once you have that down, you can do it on any set of strings. It sounds really good on the middle 2 string. Isn't that a great sound? So practice that. It's going to take quite a while. It's like I said. It's like your first golf lesson with the golf teacher, the golf pro. he tells you to do 15 things when you're like, to think about 15 things when you're taking a stroke. And I get that. It drove me crazy though. And I had a student that was a kid. He was a high school kid. And he was a scratch golfer. Like this kid scratch golf means he would average par. And he was like 17 years old. And so he really, really wanted to take me out on the driving range. So he took me to driving range. He showed me one thing that got me hitting the drive straight. And it was like, oh my gosh. And I wish, I had taken a couple of golf lessons and I just hated it because I just was thinking about too many things. But again, you can't just say, okay, just swing at the ball. Okay, now let's fix one thing. And then, you can't do that because while you may fix that one thing, you're reinforcing the 14 other things that you're doing wrong. So I get, but I did get enough about it, keeping the head down, keeping the left arm straight and all that stuff. But same thing's kind of true here with the slide stuff. It's like, I'm telling you to keep your fingers behind here. I'm telling you to mute the strings. I'm telling you to go to this fret, that fret, this fret, that fret. I'm telling you to put vibrato on things. So it is a lot. I'm admitting that up front. So I don't want you to get discouraged. I just want you to practice easily. Okay, and one thing I'm thinking about doing, I may do this as unrelated to this, but I may do a video, a warm-up with Tom video where I do warm-up exercises all the way through on video, and then post that so you can warm up. And I might even just like zoom in on the fingerboard so you don't have to look at my mug. And I'll probably do it on a classical guitar, so I only go to the 12th fret. One of the things I love about this SG, and it's the first SG I've ever owned, is the accessibility. It's part of the reason why I got it out for slide. Is I think Derek Trucks uses an SG, does he not? I know Dwayne Allman used a Les Paul. He had all those 59 Les Pauls there for a while. It was like nobody wanted those. You could get those for $300 back then. It was like, what? Okay, so I will do it. The only downside is I will do a beginner one and an intermediate one, maybe even an advanced one. And then the question is how many exercises I'll put in it will determine how long it's taking. I mean, because I hate to do a half-hour warm-up video, because who wants to spend a half hour warming up on the guitar? But I will do that. And one of the nice things about it is the cool thing is about it, people may watch it every day, so it could feasibly generate a lot of views for me as a YouTuber. Because usually you watch a video once, but I've actually had some success with some of my my jam track videos because people will listen to them over and over again, and so some of those have done very well. Let's see. I wish I could endorse this. It's not awful. My fingers are dirt. Nails are dirt. I wish I could endorse this nail file. It's cool. I got it at CVS. It's got 4 different, but almost felt like immediately they became pretty much worthless. And it's a sponge on the inside, which makes it really light. So it's kind of a finishing file. And that comes in real handy because right now I'm using my fingers to pluck strings. And if you got a burr, which a finishing file is really good at getting a burr off. And I had one of my teachers had like triple aught. Is it triple aught? Sandpaper is the finest. And he actually would take the sandpaper and fold it over onto itself, facing itself, and rub it like this until it was even less sandpaper. And he had that in his wallet, and he would use that as a finishing file on his nails. It almost was so, it felt like a piece of cloth. It was so cool how he did it. But yeah, so I'm not moving the chart's staying put. I'm going here from the 5 to the 4 to the 2 to the 3. But I think you understood that. So if I were to do this in the key of G, then I just move this all the way up here. Okay, I'm at the 12th fret now because I can't do it on open because I can't go below. So. getting them views. Thank you, Avito. God bless you. I should upload that D7 like 10 minutes of ding ding this thing. Right now, I think I've got it set to change. Yeah. So it's A. So you can tell I'm just moving the shape around. And so the chords are going A7 to D7, A7, D7, A7, D7. And that's 80 beats per minute. It's pretty ding-dang slow. Man, I only got 15 viewers. That's crazy. Come on, people. I guess nobody's interested in open G. I mean, slide. Okay, so, dang it. Sorry if I'm not keeping up on all the comments. I see comments. Okay, Gary. Well, then I'll do that. So I'll do that. May be my next video. Maybe I'll work on that today. I'm trying to think what else I got to do today. I started working on a movie, the new Rock movie, this week. Actually, I worked on it a while back, and it's still in the kind of early stages. So the Rock's got a movie. I did the guitars on Skyscraper. The composer plays guitar, so he's actually a pretty good guitar player. So a lot of times what I'm doing is stuff that maybe doesn't sound like guitar, so you might go, oh, I hear the guitar, and that's probably the composer. So he's actually a really good guitar player. But I was doing something. Oh, in fact, I'll show it to you in a second. Bruce, you'll dig this. I got my dulcimer out, my chromatic dulcimer, and I ordered I couldn't believe I found one, but I found a capo for it. And it is really, really cool. And Bruce, I think you could make some of the, I don't know what the market is for them, because a standard dulcimer is in a weird tuning, remember? You know, I'm not a weird tuning, but it's got frets as a diatonic scale. Usually it's tuned to D-A-D, which would be similar to, Bruce, what we're going to tune the cigar box guitar to. So the tuning on a dulcimer, on a lap dulcimer, is very similar to what a cigar box tuning would be. It's root fifth root, okay? And so it's great for slide, but and this slide will be great for the cigar box guitar, Bruce. And then what was I going to say? Oh, so but this one's chromatic, which is great, so I can hit any note. I was using that for this movie, and getting some freaking really cool sounds out of it. I think the composer was very happy. So, but that's, yeah, and so I got more games coming up, more Apex Legends. I think I did all the guitars on Apex Legends. Cheers. That's a sipping infraction right there. I'm working on this new Warner Brothers game that's freaking amazing. And so that will keep me busy for the next 6 months. And then also, I'm going to be working on Tom and Jerry for HBO. I'm playing guitar for that. So that's coming up starting in October. So I do have some things coming up. I just finished the Marco record. And then Bieber's probably going to do a new record. So we'll see. I don't know. But I may have a song or two on that. It'd be great if he finally releases some of these tunes that we've written. And then, but I'm also in the process of coming up with some new ideas for them. So if they want to write to them, they can. But I will do that video. I want it'll be warm up with Tom, and then I could do like one with exercises too. I really should do that one. Human exercises, like push-ups and sit-ups and all that crap. And then, but this will be finger exercises. Now, I'll determine if I'm going to do more than one pattern per exercise. But I'm tempted to do the two left-handed exercises. I'll time it. See, that's too fast. I'll have to go slower than that. So if I go all the way up to the 12th fret and all the way down on every string, that's got to be 10 minutes at least if I go slow. And so I just don't think I wouldn't want the video to be much longer than 10 minutes. But you know, I could put links though. If I could put in the you know, the positions. So if you want to skip to the 10-minute mark and do this one, you could do that. And if you want to skip to the 20-minute mark and do a different one, you know, like. There's a bunch of exercises. I'm probably pull some of them out of the pumping nylon. But that would be, I think, a good thing. So, okay. So far I've been mostly doing licks with notes below the bar, below the slide, okay? The cool thing about the licks above it, all those notes above it, the 2, the 6, the 2, the 6, the 2, the 4, and the 6, are all suspended tones. So like if we think this is G, right? If I go to this, first fret on the second string, I get a sus 4, okay? If I go to the second fret of the G string, it's a sus 2. If I go to the second fret of the fourth string, it's a sus 6, which is the same as. That's just a 5/6 suspension. That classic rock and roll, I want to say paradigm, but that's not. Paradiddle. No, that's not it either. But the cool thing is when you mix them up, like you use the 2 and the 6 and the 4. That's what Keith Richards does. And we're in open tuning. We're in the tuning over here. No, dang it. No, over here. I can't do this. My brain doesn't work this way. So this tuning I'm in, just so you know. And if you just bar and do that in front of me. There was a song, and so you could get the 6 up there too. There was a song by Mellencamp. What was it? The really cool thing about this, when you add this 6 here, and you add the 2 and the 4 too, those are the Keith Richards chord. Maybe I'll do a video on the Keith Richards chord. That might be a cool video. Okay. Thank you, Gary. Let me make a note of that because otherwise I'm going to forget it. Oh, and I have a story. It's help me remember when we get there. It's the depth perception story. Where is let's see, desktop, YouTube, video. Okay. The Keith Richards chord. I mean, the Jimi Hendrix chord would be the, can't do it on this guitar, but how would I can't even think, I can't even mentally think about it right now. But it's the E7 sharp 5, sharp 9. Okay, let's see. Question from there. Can you discuss what's happening on the chart while you're playing that Keith Richards chord? Yeah. You can see when I'm playing this, I've got on the 5th, starting on 5th string, I got the root, the 5th, the root, the 3rd, and the 5th. So I'm adding these notes in front of it. So here is where my first finger is barring, because you can see that black line that's under those numbers and the R's. That's my first finger. Then here would be my second finger, and my third finger would cover these notes. So basically, you add any, but when you're doing the Keith Richards, you're just adding that 4 and that 6. The 4 on the second string and the 6 on the 4th string. So basically like slightly bigger. Okay? That's basically what he does. You know? And he's like... But the real beauty of it is you've got that, you still have on the top string, you still have that 5 when you're playing the 6. So you're really not playing, you know, you're playing a lot of notes in there. Like right now, this is D, with just the bar, it's D, A, D, F sharp, A. So it's only 3 notes. But when you add these 2 notes, you're thinking, oh, I'm getting rid of, it's still 3 notes. No, because you have D. Now you have a B, a D, you have a G, and you have an A. So you actually have 4 notes. Okay, so like I said, when we were doing, I was doing licks before with the slide in D. I was going down. So now we can do some licks. Let me jam along. Let me just jam along with the D7 chord, okay? And it's gonna be real boring musically, but this way you can kind of see. I'm just gonna use I'm gonna try to stick to. But every note you go to up here, kind of like every note you go to here is gonna feel suspended. You're gonna be like, it's almost gonna lift you out of your chair, make you go, oh, take a breath and go, release that, release that. Oh, there you go. Okay, kind of like every note you went to below was like anticipation. You're kind of sitting on the front of your seat, like waiting for the resolution. Isn't that interesting? I mean, that's an observation at this very moment. But music is manipulation. Music is emotion. Music is tension and release. And so we have 2 different kinds of tension. We have this under the note tension that kind of brings you into that. Right? And then we have these suspensions. They kind of lift you up and bring you out. And your body language, actually, when you're playing it, made to betray that. So let me just put the jam track here. We got just the D going. Your root is right here. Now that when you slide up to that 2, I'm on the 3rd string. It also wants to go up. That's right. It went when you were down here on the 2. It wanted to go up to the 3. So that's a very common lick to do. You can even go 1 fret past the 2 and go to the flat 3. And that makes your nose go like something smells bad. Right? Here's the major 3rd. Here's the minor 3rd. And the minor 3rd gives it kind of a blues context. So does that flat 7. Oops, sorry. And then the 6. A lot of times when I go to the 6, I'll sneak up to that 1 more fret up. Go up to that flat 7th, which is down here. You can practice that. So what I did there was I hit the root, which is on the 5th string with my thumb. And I went to the 4th, or the 5th, sorry. So I'm going like this. Right? Going back to that root note right there every time. Dennis, I can't wait to go to the hospital. Oh, wrong with Dennis? All right, so let's see. Dennis, you think you have COVID? You going to the hospital to get a checkup? Oh, because you gotta get some work done. I missed something here. Let me see. Uh-oh. I guess it says 8 concurrent viewers. This is really weird. Click as dies wust ab dies wust. Hoop dat no arts wat kan doen. No COVID, kind of like Menair. I don't know what Menair is. Hope you're okay. All right. So you can see, hopefully, and Darren, don't worry about like having me explain this chart, because actually everybody's having the same questions. But yeah, so the cool thing about the chart, like I said, once you know, once you realize that, okay, from your bar, all the good notes are, the bar plus the notes 2 frets down and 2 frets up, with one exception. The only one you have to kind of pay attention to, you don't want to go to that G sharp in this case. But anywhere I go, so that lick here is down here. There's G, A, E. Okay? And the same thing with any of the notes, any of the things you do, any of the affectations, any of the suspensions you do that are above the bar. Ah. And I really like those in open position. So we're in G. I should probably, can I do that with I do that, those licks I do all the time on dobro. So, okay, we can all take a sip because I'm going to change guitars for a second. But this chart is also totally valid on dobro, and the tuning I have my dobro in is the same tuning, open G. And one of the things I like to do is, oh, that works actually really nice. So now I got a solid bar. You see this? This is called a lapdog. So you can see what I'm doing is I'm going on the second fret, and then first fret, which is mirroring this. So see all these notes here? In open position, this is 0. These are all zeros. I can't go down here because I'm in open position. But I love doing... I go up to D. Now I can do the notes below. And then on this, I can actually bend up to that 4. So I'm bending the second string behind the bar, kind of creating a pedal steel sound, and taking that. I'm playing the middle 4 strings, so I got the root, the 5th, the root, and the 3rd, and then I bend the 3rd up to the 4th. That takes some skill. I mean, not skill, but it takes time to get it down. You're playing this. Oh, cool. Bobtail. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this scratch was a pretty darn reasonable instrument. I heard it, I like it because of the woody tone. I need to get out my other one. It just needs to be restrung. But I've got a 1929 National, and it's all metal, and it has a totally different... This one just is a warmer, homier, pleasanter sound to me, whereas the other one just sounds like a beer commercial. No matter what you play on, it sounds like a beer commercial. Then I just get thirsty. And then the nice thing, I love with the nice thing about playing open licks is that you can tilt a slide and play one note. I'm playing one string. And you get this dissonance, the open strings. I mean, you know, I'm no, what's his name, Jerry Douglas. He baffles me. Okay, I'm going to show you the. So we're going to take another sip because I'm going to get another instrument, kind of unrelated. But this is the chromatic dulcimer that I bought earlier this year. And this, Bruce, you could make this. Look at this. This is the coolest little capo. I don't know what wood this is. Well, maybe somebody can tell me by looking at that grain. You see that grain? The other cool thing I love about this is that it's made in Pakistan. I just love that. I think that's just like, what? So where was your Appalachian dulcimer capo made? Oh, Pakistan. Where else? But I mean, I love that because I'm like, oh, okay, some poor guy's getting, you know, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's some guy in a factory and he's a billionaire or something in Pakistan making dulcimer capos. I mean, there really wouldn't be a reason to capo a normal dulcimer. I don't have my normal dulcimer out, but this one's chromatic. So I can play any note on it, which is what I really like. But I was doing this thing, you know. So you just push it down on the, you know, push the fret down and. Almost sounds charango-like. It almost sounds like the movie. But look at that. Isn't that dope? Oh yeah, yeah. I would, Gary. Yeah, I would definitely rest when playing slide. Now I don't know if I can play slide on this. I would like to. It's just the action is too low on it. I probably should have had him make an alternate nut that I could put on here, or maybe I could put a string lifter. I could probably put a string lifter on this, but not down here. And there's shims in there. I mean, it's interesting. He's got, oh, you know what? Yeah. Yeah, he's got multiple grooves in here, which is interesting. So I think I can string it different ways. He's got two other grooves in there. And that's something, you know, and Bruce is making me a cigar box guitar, which is similarly tuned, except we're going to just have 3 strings. Bruce, did you say that there are some that they do 4 strings on where they do a double string? Yeah, well, I wonder what woods are common in Pakistan. You think they have oak? It's got a weird kind of wavy grain. Where did I got this on? Let me put the link up because maybe it'll say Amazon dulcimer capo. There it is. Oh, yeah, it was made by Rusbeck. I mean, it was marketed by Rusbeck. It says walnut, and I think I got the walnut one. They have for mountain dulcimer. Weird. I wonder if they broke. Yeah, it says walnut. It's got, this one has 5-star rating. This one only has a 3-star rating of 65. So I'm wondering if this one fell apart. Yeah, this definitely looks similar to what I have. Here, I'll post a link so you guys can take a look. But, you know, I just got it. I don't really have any problems with it, but hopefully it doesn't break. You know? But that's kind of cool. So, So yeah, I don't really play slide on this thing. I think George Deering did. I think he had some setup. He had some big ones. I want to get like a giant one, but it's just where do I store it? The case for this one's pretty big. But I've seen guys play with a big glass, like you know, the Mexican glass that's really thick. I've seen guys play like a lap dulcimer or something that way for movie soundtracks and stuff. I don't know how often I'd use it, but it's, you know, if it was on a major movie, then it would be worth it because it's a double, and then there's residual income. All right, so oh, that's cool. Brian, he lives in Western North Carolina, which is gorgeous area, and your buddy's wife and daughter makes dulcimers. I got this one from a guy that makes them in. This was it Mountain Made Dulcimers? Was the name? He's in Nashville, Indiana, and Mountain Made Music. Very good prices, to be honest. I mean, it's, you know, and it's cheap to live there, and so this is where I got that dulcimer. Sad that I can't make any money off of you buying one. Okay. All right. So we're pretty much done with this lesson. So oh, you know, I can show you. I'll show you real quick my favorite. One of my favorite things to do with slide. Let's see. It's a Sonny Landreth trick. Okay. So I could do it here, but I'm going to go up to the 10th, 12th fret. Sorry, I'm going to go up to G. So I got the capo on. And I may even use this one. Let me see. This is what. So what Sonny Landreth would do is he'd do these like staccato. So I'm like grabbing the 5th string, and I'm muting it with the side of my hand here, and then he grabs like the 2nd and 3rd string, or the top 2 strings. So you get this triad, or kind of a triad. It's G, G, and B. But what he'll do is he would push down a string behind the slide, then pushing that string down so it's no longer making contact with the slide. So, you know, the string is like this, slides on it, you push the string down, it's no longer making contact, and now it's this pitch, whatever you're pushing down. So I could technically make a minor chord if I took... I've never really used that trick. But this one, he's going down a whole step. So he's using this chart that I have here, and I got in the middle of the chart, here is where my bar is, and then I'm pushing down, you know, my first finger is going to push down some of these notes, like that top string 4, the 2nd string 2, the 3rd string flat 7, and it just sounds cool, especially when you've got that 4 and the 3 ringing out. Okay, I'm going to turn this up. And you can see I'm tilting the slide up a little bit to kind of help me get that note. If I had higher action, I wouldn't have to do that. Oh, and there's this. So that's just a really, really cool little trick. That's probably the last thing we're going to talk about in Open G. So I have to come up with a new thing to talk about on... Are the gardeners still here? What time is it? Golly, I swear, my gardeners work really hard. They work a lot harder than me. Although I was out in my yard pulling weeds on Sunday, and so. Oh, you've merged from Mega Teaching Week. Okay, good. My wife is teaching right now. S. Maka. That's not Paul McCartney, is it? I wish. Robert Jansen had a great move hammering around his slide on the top two strings while at the same time forming a chord shape with his other fingers. Oh, you know what? You're right. That's a cool trick, huh? I'll have to check that out. Um, yeah, Bruce, I think we're doing three strings, right? We're doing like root 5 root. Okay, so my guitar is cranked right now. I can hear it hissing. Sorry if that was loud. Um, let's see. What else is going on? Tom, if you had a small hole drilled in the bottom of your bottle slide, would that help? A small hole drilled in the bottom of your bottle slide. Would it help what? I don't know. Oh, you mean at the tip here? No, for the air pocket thing. Yeah. Yeah, that would definitely prevent that. Yeah. Yeah. I think. Although it's actually just touching all around here. So I'm always worried that when I put this on, I'm not going to be able to get it off. So I don't know how much of that would be vacuum or how much of that is just because it's too tight. I just need to lose some weight. Let's see. Yes, 3. Okay, that's good. Let's see, what else? Okay, so Kathy's emerged. Yeah, the muting the strings, down here, it gives a kind of a punchy thing. There's so many things you can do with slide. There's so many great slide players. I mean, I've only scratched the surface on this. But one of the things, things that came out of this was this diagram, which I think is a really useful diagram as you're playing in Open G. I could feasibly do Open D, but and do the similar. I could do a similar diagram. It would look very similar. As far as the only thing that would happen is that 4-3 relationship would move to this third string, and then everything else would be basically the same, but everything would move down basically that way. Let's see, this way. So every number that you see would move 1 this way if you went to Open D. So it wouldn't be too hard to create a similar diagram. Although this would take me a minute. And to fit that flat 7th in there, I had to make the flat sign a smaller font. But I like the look. And that's uploaded to the Discord. I haven't posted the Discord link. Any paperwork I create in these lessons, I upload to Tom's bookmarks in the Discord that has been created. So you can always... Oh, Dennis posted something. What is this? Oh, that's your Ibanez. Nice. Very cool. Most excellent. Vito and Dennis are having a discussion. Let's see. Here's the invite. Oh, let me set it to permanent. I think. I don't know how really permanent it is. But here's that. Here's the Discord invite. So there you can see all the homework I've created, all the different things that we've created, and you can continue this discussion or talking about guitar on lines with all the people here on the live stream. So, and yeah, you know what, Maka, you know what you could do, and it's kind of heavy, is you could go to the hardware store and go to the socket where it's basically, this is for mostly car repair, I think, but the socket sets, and this is a Craftsman 11/16. The great thing is if your finger's really small, you could 11/16. The next one below that would be what is that, 5/8, and you could try the 5/8 and see if it works. And it would be a little lighter than this, I would think, because it's a little thinner. But yeah, so and it is. I've got a little bit of space down here, and the nice thing is my tip finger fits right there. And the other thing that's nice about it is there's a little bit more mass here on the bottom part of the slide. Okay, because of this feature, and the thing is, in the store they generally hang them with a plastic display thing, so you can put your finger in all of them. In the COVID era, you might get arrested. I don't know. Why are you in jail? Oh, I murdered somebody. What about you? Oh, I put my finger in a socket at the hardware store. So, this. So it's nice though, but you have more mass down here for the lower strings that are thicker, so it gives it a little bit beefier tone on the bottom. But it's kind of heavy, and if you're going to be playing slide for a long time, like the whole night of a set, then this is probably not the way to go. I recently bought what's called a preaching pipe slide by maybe Dunlop. I think it was Dunlop, and it's all brass. It's kind of slightly tapered, so it feels pretty good. That one is in my gig bag. So I don't have it here. It's in the other room. It's in one of my many guitar closets. Hey, Two Broken Thumbs is on the house. Okay, story time. That's why you're here. All right, so let me pull up this email because, so when I first moved to California, it was 1983, and quickly became friends with a couple musicians that were best friends, a drummer named Scott and a keyboard player named Eric, and we were all 21. We were all the same age. And we became bandmates. Now, Eric didn't drive. Eric was, he had never gotten his driver's license. And it was funny. It was like, okay, so he, while we're playing in a band together, he finally got his driver's license. His dad finally, we would take him out and teach him driving and everything. And his dad was worked at JPL and Caltech. And so he got his license, and the vehicle that he had to drive was a '64 Ford pickup truck. And I say this, it's probably one of the most quick responses I've ever had in the humor category. And, Eric is a super duper smart guy. And so I am very funny. So he had a very, very quick sense of humor. So I would, you know how it is, like you play with tennis with someone who's better than you, you're going to play a little bit more above your game. So whenever I was hanging out with Eric, I was always, I felt like I was funnier because he, I was like kind of trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? So, yeah, right, 21 again. And so I'm riding in this passenger side of this '64 Ford pickup truck, and Eric has just gotten his license, and we're getting on the freeway, and we're going about 50 miles an hour, speeding up to get on the freeway, and he's got a lead foot, and he tailgates, and he drives like a maniac, and he's in this giant Ford pickup truck tailgating, of all things, a Ford Pinto, right? Ford Pintos, right? And so now, just to preface this story, I'm blind in my left eye, so I have technically no depth perception. So. And Eric knew this. So we're driving, and he gets up behind this Pinto, and he's like tailgating. He's kind of coming up on him. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. And he looks at me, he goes, hey, I thought you didn't have any depth perception. And I said, without pause, I said, yeah, but I have depth perception. And it was literally, one of the funniest things I've ever said. And I still say that. It's like, yeah, I may not have any depth perception, but I have depth perception. And so he reached out to me recently. Like I get an email from him about every 5 years, maybe longer. And he reached out the other day, and we were just recounting some of the stories and everything. And he was telling me about this. He said his father worked at JP, because I mentioned that my son worked there, and he said, "Oh yeah, my father worked at JPL." In fact, I don't know if I ever told you this story or not, but once I was driving him to campus at Caltech, and he hated when I drove, as I was still in my 20s and tended to be rather aggressive behind the wheel. Plus, I was famous for my California rolling stops, and I was driving a '64 pickup truck. And that thing was a giant beast. I said, I was coming up to a stop sign, and my father started screaming, "Stop, stop!" And I slammed on the brakes just before taking out some poor sob in a wheelchair. The bumper of the truck was just kissing him, and then I recognized that it was Stephen Hawking. He gave lectures at Caltech on occasion. His eyes were huge, but once he realized his number wasn't up, he motored away. My father looked at me and said, "You nearly became the Lee Harvey Oswald of theoretical physics." I was like, "Oh man, that is awesome." Oh, and now we have 22 people here for the story. So that's my friend Eric. And then he told me that story, and then I reminded him about the depth perception one. So it was pretty classic. It's funny because when I was in college, I was playing in the Butler University jazz ensemble. Yes, if anyone doesn't know, Pintos, if they got rear-ended, would catch on fire, would explode generally. It was a design flaw. But I remember doing so I was playing with the Butler University Jazz Band, and we were traveling around, mostly Indiana, doing shows at high schools. Probably a recruiting kind of thing. And we did a show at one of the high schools in in Indiana, and the local judge hosted a meal for us at his home. So, we're 20 musicians or more, probably 22, 23 musicians in this big band. And he set up his house with a buffet and everything. And we're sitting around, and he had signs up where everything was, mac and cheese. And I'm recalling my mac and fleas story. And he he goes, "Oh, I just thought, you all should know that this is when that case was, the people were suing, I think, Ford Motor Company, and it was in his court. He was the judge for that." And he says, "Yes, I just thought you might be interested to know I'm the judge for the Ford Pinto case." And he had pinto beans, and he had it labeled Ford Pinto beans. I was like, "Oh, that's bizarre." Just being in the moment. I had that happen another time where it was kind of like one of those like bizarre moments. I don't know. I don't want to say being in the right place at the right time, but I was playing in my band Malachi in Indiana. It probably was 1980 or something like that. And we drive down. The gig is at a riverboat in Louisville, the Belle of Louisville, or what's the river there? What's the name of that river? Dang it! It feeds into the Mississippi, the Ohio River. Anyway, it's the Belle of Louisville. I think Belle of Louisville or something was the name of the boat. Well, we drive down in a couple cars, and we get down there, and the truck isn't there. And we're like, "Oh, shoot." And we only to find out that the truck broke down halfway there, and we couldn't do the gig. We actually had to hire a DJ to take our place, and then we did another gig. And in fact, I think that was for Hanover College now, because I think the gig we did that were the Hanover College, when I did the gig when Woody Harrelson and Mike Pence were going to school there, although I don't know if they saw it, they were at the dance, but that was the one where it rained, so we were supposed to do an outdoor dance, and they brought the outdoors indoors. I told you that story. But we're sitting so we go to this bar, and I've taken this girl, and it was like a first date with this girl, and we were driving down Louisville and then drive back later that night, and I was trying to impress her. Of course, it didn't impress her that my band didn't play. So, but it was good. It was a good 3 hour drive to have a good conversation. 3 hour drive back. But we go. The band wants to go to this bar, and I'm not 21 yet. I think my girlfriend was, or she had a fake ID. she was a couple of years older than me, and she had a fake ID. I think she was 21, and so we go into this bar, and we're sitting there, and it's one of those riverfront bars. We're the only ones in there. Okay, we're all in this giant. It's a very, very dark bar. We're in this giant booth, and it's like me, the girl, and like 4 of my bandmates in this bar, in this booth. So there's the TV's on in the corner, up on the ceiling, and and there's another couple in the bar. They're kind of over there, but there's no one else in the bar. It's a pretty big bar. Like I said, it's a riverside. It's on the river. It's kind of in the docks, and for some reason it was empty. I guess because it was like a Saturday night. So that bar was probably full Monday through Friday when they were, all the dock workers were down there. And we're sitting there, and I'm looking up the news, and they're doing a story. I think it's like Dan Rather or Walter Cronkite or somebody. They're interviewing the first couple to do in vitro fertilization, like test tube baby or something like that. It's one of those kind of things, right? And I'm looking up at the screen, and they're interviewing this couple. And then I look down at the couple over there, and they're looking up at the screen and pointing and things like that. And I look at the screen again, and I look down at the couple, and I look up at the screen. It's the same 2 people. They're watching themselves on this interview from earlier in the day. And it's like I just happened to be there when they saw themselves on TV. It was just crazy. So, question from Leo. Quick Q&A. Any insight on worship gospel chord progressions? Not really. Those are 2 totally different. Worship songs are 4 chords, and gospel songs are 4 billion chords. So those, you almost couldn't get more different. What are you typically having to do? What are some issues you're having, Leo? Almost wish we could go split screen on this. Gary, let's see. I'm trying Leon. Oh, Leo. Ohio. Yeah, the Pinto itself was a design flaw. No kidding. Everything in the back. Yeah, that was the problem. The gas tank. I think what happened was the pipe going into the metal thing going into the gas tank. What led to the engine was like there, so that if you hit the back, it would puncture the tank and create gas leaks. Now I don't think that's the way they're supposed to be designed, or they. So you're doing more worship, understanding, okay, the harmony. Yeah, I mean, it's almost, you have to go by song. I'm not sure. That's a big question. And, my church, we tend to do the more 4-chord type worship songs. Although we can totally do the gospel stuff, and we've done a lot of the gospel stuff. We have a lot of gospel people at our church. But our church generally, I mean, I don't know. The powers that be tend to like the more conventional worship songs and less the less the gospel stuff. But yeah, so worship music, though it is 4 chords, oftentimes it's the guitar aspect of it is varied, and sometimes you're playing chords, sometimes you're playing notes. When I play with Alex, we always, like, one of us will play high and low. I'll play power and he'll play the melodies, and then I'll play the power melodies and he'll play the power. It's like that. It just depends, song by song. So, okay, chat pretty slow. Okay, we're back up to 22. It's so weird. This map is all over the place. I mean, at one point I said at 9:30 it said I had 2 people watching. I know that's not true. So YouTube's not catching everybody. But right now it says 21. Oh, hey, Holly, how's it going? Sneaking in late. It's been a while. Yeah, it has been a while. Oh, you were on a platform team. What does that mean? What is a platform team? Ooh, I still have coffee. Whee! What are some old blues songs in open G? Uh, that's a good question. I don't know. Um, Thanks, Leo. You're welcome, Leo, for answering absolutely nothing. Oh, cool. Oh, music team. Oh, I see. Oh, platform. Oh, up on the. Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much play every weekend. I book the band at my church, although it's pretty much the same musicians, but I handle it when there's subs. Um, and yeah, it's interesting. When I taught clinics for Maranatha, we back in the '90s, we did this cool thing where we would take a couple charts and we'd give the bands an option to play one or two, one of two different charts, and some of them couldn't read it all or whatever, but that was fine. But every city was different. It was really fun to notice that, like, Houston played the songs completely different than Detroit, and Seattle played the songs completely different than the musicians in Miami. And I love that. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm opposed to using tracks, at least a lot of tracks. I mean, I go to the youth department and I see the kids up there playing, but all I'm hearing is tracks, and they got the guitars and everything turned off for the most part. Sometimes, and I think that that's kind of like it's okay if the kids are making mistakes and it doesn't sound perfect and it doesn't sound like the record. I know it's frustrating, especially with ears, to try to sing along with that. But if you're on Instagram, do follow Worship Fails. It's brutal. But it's but the thing is, when you've got a lot of tracks that like a lot of churches now, everybody's using what's the software? Somebody knows it. Somebody will say it. And you can mute tracks. So like, oh, okay, we want the count off, we want the click, and we want the count off, because it'll say 1, 2, verse 2, 3, 4, chorus. You'll hear these directions in your ear, and I don't really. It's not necessary. If I have a chart and if we're in sync with the chart, it's not necessary. It's almost more of a distraction to have someone talking to you while you're trying to play music. And then there may be sound effects or loops that you can't get live. And even that, I don't care. What difference does it make? The vast majority of our congregation does not listen to worship music during the week. So they're not going to go, hey, that whoosh that took you from the first verse to the second verse wasn't there. I missed that whoosh. Nobody cares. But the thing about it, when churches are really tempted to use a lot of the tracks and unmute a lot of the tracks, and there's the drums and the bass and the guitar and the keys and everything unmuted, then every church is going to sound the same. And it's like, no, if you're in Georgia, your band should sound completely different than if you're in Oregon or if you're in Los Angeles versus Sacramento even, or New York City versus Maine. They're all going to have different sounding bands. I mean, I've got friends that I've been in bands, worship bands, where I played mandolin and dobro, and that was what the church not expected, but that's what the music that came from the church. It was kind of cool. So, Holly's saying, I remember what we wanted to perform was not always what ministry thought was awesome. Yeah. We stuck some good stuff in. Yeah, we had a core of truly excellent musicians to carry the beginners. Our director believed everyone who wanted to participate ought to be able to. I'd like to do that at my church, but the standard is so high of expectation. But I think that technically we could take some, like, if it was a drummer that wanted to be involved, you could put them on percussion. You got to have a good drummer, and we have a great drummer. But if they're willing to volunteer, it's having more people on stage. Sometimes looks better. But put a drummer on percussion, and he can't do a whole lot of damage. You put a guitar player that wants to play, you throw him on an acoustic, same thing. It can't really do a lot of damage. If he's really awful, the engineer can just go like that and take him out of the mix. But if he's really good, then that can add to the whole sonic landscape. Generally, Alex and I will be playing electric. Alex was playing at Real Life Church, and they would always do a pop song to open the service, like every week. In fact, sometimes with lyrics and stuff like that. And sometimes pastors will want you to do a pop song if it sells a song. Shepherd, we never do that just not a thing we do. I remember I did Hallelujah one time. Was it Leonard Cohen's song? I did the chorus to that in the middle of one of our worship songs. And nobody caught it, because the verses are a little, I didn't do the verses, but I loved it. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. It's a great song. It's an American classic. Actually brilliant lyrics. I mean, great lyricist. So, but I only did the bridge to that. But I've been at many churches, played at many churches that did cover songs. I did do one time. I got brought into a church in Orange County because, you play pedal steel? I said, no, I play lap. Well, would you bring it and play with our church? And so I went down to Orange County and played at church, and they were doing I guess it was a sermon series on fidelity, talking about the tough things. And the worship director thought it would be fun to do nothing but, and they never did worship songs at this church. I think it was a Willow Creek church, and they never did. They only did pop, like familiar songs, which is really interesting. And we did all these like country, my woman done me wrong, my man done me wrong songs, like Thunder Rolls by Garth Brooks and stuff like that. So I played lap steel on 4 songs or something for the theme, to get the theme going. Let's see. Yeah. Oh man, Highway to Hell. That's funny. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Sometimes you can be a little too on point with some of the song selection. There's some pretty funny stories about stuff like that. Let's see. Yeah, newbies would have. Yeah, you wouldn't want to put a newbie on bass or drums, even lead guitar. Again, if you look at worship fails, the number one thing that happens on worship fails is the guitar strap comes off of the acoustic and it falls to the ground, and those are never fun to watch. But some of the other videos are pretty darn funny. Oh, Crossroads, Walking Blues, lots of Robert Johnson, Open G. Thank you, Charlie. I knew someone would jump in there. I'm not an aficionado on that. On the whole blues thing, so for me, it's just like I can pick up a guitar and play with it, but I should do more listening, more history. But someone gave me a book, The 1,000 Albums You Should Hear Before You Die, and it's like, really? And I've always been, I'd rather write a song than listen to one. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I listened to a lot of music when I was young, and when I was teaching, that was part of the good thing about teaching, was I had these 15-year-old kids bring in the latest bands, so I heard about bands before anybody did. Once they got famous, they were no longer cool. So, I heard about Nirvana from their first record, not from Nevermind, which was their big record. But they had a record before that, and I had a student bring it in. And I went, "What the heck is this?" It was kind of the grunge, the beginning of the grunge thing, and it was like I had no idea. Worship Fails is brutal, Holly. It's a good follow. Let's see. Gary said I sang a stick song for Super Conservative Baptist Church from the Miss America album. All the older folks had no idea, but it was appropriate for the message of the day. Yeah, a lot of times. A lot of churches will use a secular, what we call a secular song, for that setup moment for the sermon. I basically can drop worship songs into 2 camps: talking about God or talking to God. What I call horizontal, where we're kind of dealing with, talking to people about God more, and then there's vertical worship where you're actually worshiping God. And then there's inner court and outer court, which is a reference to the temple in the Old Testament. And so I always called outer court praise music. So the up tempo stuff, what was the one song I did a lot back in the day was like. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. That would be an outer court song. And then Here I Am to Worship would be an inner court song. So you go from doing praise, and then I like to do the progression of going to that where you go into the inner court and you get at the foot of the cross and you're kneeling. You're doing a more just you and God kind of song. and then set people up for the sermon that way. That was typically how I would organize my set. But my pastor at Shepherd didn't want to ending the set with a slow song because he didn't want people falling asleep before he got up to preach. So totally made sense. It was just, and he even said at one point in one of his sermons, he was talking about worship, and he quoted me on it. He said, "Yeah, I know how worship leaders want to do this. You know, they want to start with fast songs and end with a slow song, and get the worship. And I know, outer court to inner court. I know that. And they're probably right, but I want to do this and that." So he was actually very gracious about it. But yeah, I know strap clips. Well, actually, even I don't have them on this. What's this? Yeah. What's the beer that has the? These are from that beer. What's that beer? Alex would know. Alex, you're not on, are you? My son. So if you get a 4-pack, these are great for that. Shoot, what's that beer? Somebody's going to answer the question. But when you pop the lid, it's got one of those it's the weirdest, like you're a jug of whiskey or something. You're like a rot gut, and it has this ring, this orange ring, and it's perfect for putting around on top of your strap. So I should do a video about that. That's a life hack. Let me add that to my videos I need to do list. Let's see, beer strap lock. That'll be enough for me to remember. All right, so let's see, where are we? Grolsch. Thank you, Dennis. It's Grolsch is right. So go get a 4-pack of Grolsch, and you'll have enough strap lock things for two straps. Now, the ironic thing about it is I have the Grolsch things on there, no strap. It's because I took the strap off to. It's in here. Hopefully, they may not have used it. So one of the composers that I work for, his girlfriend is a pretty well-known cosplay artist, and she borrowed one of my guitars to do a shoot. And so I took the strap off of this one just in case they needed a strap, but fortunately they didn't, and it was still the case. It's kind of one of those things. So basically, you put the strap on like this, and then this is it's from a Grolsch. So Dennis spelled it out, so you should be able to find it at the store. They only come in 4-packs. They're not 6-packs, but so they're a little bit more expensive. But the bottles are super cool, and Grolsch beer is okay. I don't drink a lot of alcohol. I like the feeling of having a beer in me. I get more relaxed. Like I've said in the past, it's like normally I have 10 things. You guys know more than anybody. I have 10 things going on in my head at a time. And the nice thing about having a glass of wine or a beer or a shot of whiskey or something like that, it'll get that down to like 3 or 4, maybe 5, but 3 or 4, and I don't know. In some ways, it just really kind of helps me relax. So I mean, obviously, so yeah, it works great as a strap. Like that can't come off. It really can't. So now the orange color is it's not even an orange. It's kind of this weird color. I wish they had black ones. That would have been dope. In fact, somebody's made ones that are like this, but they charge a lot for them. I mean, actually, what they charge for these things that they made that are black, and I think they have a little bit of a handle, a little gripper on them, make them a little bit easier to get on and off. But what they charge for those, for a pair of those, you can get 4 and beer for less. So let's see, Vito. Vito asked a question. Where was that question? Yeah, it was Grolsch. Dang. Kind of hard to get it on, but once it's on, it's on. Okay. Yeah, it's not inverting itself. I got it. There it is. Okay. So there's and that's solid. Now, if you don't mind leaving the strap on, I don't mind leaving the strap on. I think there's some guitars you may not want to leave the strap on. If you had a cloth strap, it wouldn't be a problem. This is kind of like a vinyl strap, so it might damage the guitar. But I'm not, you know. And this is my main. This is the ETA Squire. But I will use this sometimes at church. So I have, a strap on, so in case I want to play at church. We're gonna do some funk. This is a great funk guitar. Oh, in fact, somebody asked me a question about it, and I got to answer. I forgot to answer it. All right, so I'm going to sign off. Friday, I don't know what we're going to talk about. I may just do an AMA on Friday, or so we can talk about what we're going to talk about next. The question was guitar slipping off your lap. When I'm playing some instruments, I will put the strap on because that will help keep the instrument from slipping off my lap. The other thing is you'll notice that I'm always got this handy, so that if I need to, I can put my foot on it. And now my leg is, instead of angling down, it's flat or even up a little bit, and that helps. One thing you don't want to do, though, with classical guitars, you do not want to put the back of the guitar against your body. You want to, actually, you don't even want to touch the sides if you can help it. And you're like, how? So you can touch the edge. Okay, the edge is all good. All right? So you get it on your lap, and then you tilt it. You tilt it a little bit, and then you tilt it into your body. So your body's touching here, and your leg's touching here, but not here. Does that make sense? Because if I mute the front and the back, you can really hear. So if this is touching my body, the back of the guitar, it definitely makes it quieter. And so often when you're playing classical guitar, you're needing to project because you may be in a room and no mics or anything, So, and then the same thing's true with this arm. I'm not laying it here. I'm not laying it here. I'm laying it at an angle on the. Can you see that? So everything is just touching the edges if you're doing it right. So I'll probably do that exercise video using this guitar, and I'll go slower than this. Wow, yeah, it's going to take a while to do if I slow it down to do all 6 strings. That might be a one exercise video. So I may, instead of calling it, I was going to do like warm up with Tom easy, warm up with Tom intermediate, warm up with Tom advanced, and then now it may just, I end up maybe going warm up with Tom number 1 easy, warm up with Tom number 2 easy, warm up with Tom number 3 easy, or whatever, and then do because we'll see. I'll figure out if it's a 30-minute video. If a 30-minute video, I don't know. I'll try to say, okay, down below there'll be links you can click on to go to the next warm up, whatever. So you'll see. All right, let's see. Also, the pentatonic scale practice killed my neck more than my fingers. Just go one direction for each. I could do that, Gary. Yeah. And then and that way I could probably double the amount of exercises I put on there. But Gary, would you consider that exercise beginner too? Should I put that on the same? So my 2 left hand exercises. Right, yeah, the spider exercise, yeah, right. Is that the spider exercise? It's hard on nylon. I mean, if I'm struggling with it. But I haven't warmed up today. Yeah, I was just going to go to the 12th. That's the beauty of using the nylon string, is I would have to stop with my pinky at the 12th. So I'm really only going to do 9. So Gary, yeah, I'll take that under advisement. I still may put them both on the same, or maybe do 2 videos. It depends. If I get to 10 minutes, I want to get to 10 minutes because I feel like 10-minute videos do better on YouTube than 5-minute videos. But I also don't want to waste people's time. Yeah. And yeah, Vito, I see what you're saying. Your ring finger doesn't listen. Yeah. And that's, you know, Gary, if it's your ring finger that doesn't listen to your, then you could. So, because you know how this exercise is for the pinky, right? You could make it so that every other note is your ring finger. I'm a big proponent of invent an exercise that's helping you specifically with an issue you're having. Or you can even do that. This one was a pain too. Oh gosh, what was it? It's like. See, I don't have my proper. Gotta get this later. And it gets harder as you go down the neck. You can't see my hand. Anyway, okay. All that to say, I'll see you on Friday, and we may do an Ask Me Anything. If I have some brilliant idea of what we're going to teach it about, then I'll put it up hopefully in the description, and you'll be able to see it, and you'll know. Okay? All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.